Florence, you may start recording. I think this session is going to be recorded. I would like to welcome you to the Talent Conversation Series, Innovative Employment Solutions, the Role of Youth. My name is Sara Tadiwos. I am the founder and managing director of ICANJOBS. Can you hear me? Yes, okay. Someone texted, they couldn't hear me. Yeah, so I'm the founder and managing director of ICANJOBS. ICANJOBS is a talent and workforce development solution provider based in Ethiopia. We work with individuals and also organizations in skills and workforce development needs they have. We've previously worked with higher institutions, universities, and community-based youth groups that are working with youth and also with their workforce in the workplace. In addition to that, we also provide advisory services, consulting, and training and development. Youth unemployment, as you know, is one of the biggest challenges of our time and also a complex problem, which is factored from different reasons. But it also requires a multi-sectoral and multi-stakeholder intervention. And we've previously brought you the role of the government in bringing regulatories and also policies putting in place for the youth interventions, as well as the role of employers in terms of creating enabling environment, gapping, and building the bridge of the skills gap and mismatch we see. And also today we're so excited, we will be discussing about what would be the role of youth as young people are really struggling in terms of finding employment or creating employment. What should be the role of the youth themselves as actors and as part of the solution in terms of mitigating the high unemployment that we see all over the world, especially in Africa. So we brought you today very distinguished guests. They are youth themselves. They have unique journeys of their own as change makers, not only in addressing and creating innovative solutions to employment, but also to helping so many young people and impacting their community in addressing the skills gap and also providing viable pathways and enabling environment for young people. So ICANJOBS is so honored to bring you this in collaboration with Kichocheo LLC. And before I go and introduce you our phenomenal three speakers, I would like for Florence to introduce herself and Kichocheo to our audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Sara. Hello, everyone. Good evening to most of you. Good afternoon to a few of us. I'm calling from Washington, D.C. Kichocheo means catalyst in Swahili because my company helps rapidly growing teams expand. And I work with purpose-driven organizations around the world. Speaking of youth, Sara and I met when we were both working for the United Nations a while back. And I am delighted to be hosting those sessions. I always get so inspired attending this. So I'll be off camera now. I'll just be in the shadow facilitating discussion and especially making sure that, that everything works. Thank you. And by the way, so hopefully we won't be Zoom bombed, but if it happens, you know, we'll try to manage it with a smile and patience. Thank you. You're on mute.
Yes. Thank you so much, Florence. I would like to introduce our first speaker is Audrey Hansen. Audrey Hansen is the founder and CEO of College to Congress. It's a DC-based nonprofit working to create a more inclusive and effective Congress by empowering the next generation of public servants. And College to Congress is disrupting the pipeline of congressional staff by helping students from rural and also low-income and disadvantaged background in securing full-time internships in Congress and covering the true cost of the unpaid internship. So to date, College to Congress has provided fully funded internships for 37 students from across the US, including DACA students, veterans, and student parents. In the wake of COVID-19, Audrey has successfully launched a College to Congress University, which is C2CU, a free professional development platform that trains students from all over the nation. And the award-winning platform matches students with DC-based professionals, professional mentors, and it provides career opportunities directly to the students. For her work, Audrey was selected out of the 11,000 companies for a We Work Creator Award and was awarded the Seed Spot Audience Impact Award, the highest honor in her cohort. In 2020, and she was also viewed in 2020 Forbes 30 Under 30 honorees and a current Socrates Fellow at Aspen Institute. Audrey is featured in the New York Times, in CBS This Morning, CBS News, the Washington Business Journal, Politico, and more. Audrey grew up in Texas, but she is joining us today from Florida because she's Floridian in heart, and she studied political science and also theater at the University of South Florida before interning and working in several offices and committees at the Capitol Hill prior to founding College to Congress. Audrey will be speaking to us today. What type of opportunities exist for graduates to break into a career of their dream? And what are better approaches to actually for the youth to utilize? Okay. Can someone mute? Yes, thank you. And what innovative pathways work in enabling youth to succeed in internships, in mentorship or networking, and other opportunities that helps youth transition from school to workplace? We're so excited to have you, Audrey, today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey everyone. No, thank you for having me. One of my favorite things to do is get to talk with students.
Great. Thank you so much, Audrey. Let me introduce the others and then I'll give you the floor to start the presentation. Thank you so much. And Seleshi is our second speaker, Seleshi Mohammed, founder and CEO of Safe Light Initiative. And he is the managing director at this moment of Safe Light Initiative. It's a youth development nonprofit organization that has transformed over 10,000 youth in Ethiopia. And Safe Light Initiative advocates and empowers youth through its volunteerism, mentorship, charity work, and life skills training and development programs. And Safe Light Initiative has a unique model that has recently implemented, which is a 3H methodology, an innovative solution that had brought tremendous publicity by the media, but also civil organizations and the government in bringing change in the lives of youth and their work. Has been internationally also recognized through the Embassy of Indonesia, Thailand, and Africa Youth Initiatives. Seleshi holds a bachelor degree in natural resource management, and he's a certified leadership development professional, and also a certified media production. And he also has English and language and literature background as well. He's a motivational speaker. He works with a lot of youth in universities around the country in Ethiopia, as well as in the community for so many organizations and institutions as well. Seleshi will be talking to us today about what works for young people in creatively channeling their focus and efficiently focus being part of the solution. But also in creating employment for themselves. And what are some of the methodologies and approaches that young people utilize to proactively create opportunities for themselves so that they can be part of the solution as well? And we're so excited to have you, Seleshi. Thank you so much for joining us today from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
Thank you so much, Sara.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Change Abingo. She's a business development manager for JST working as an executive search, headhunting and recruitment and business development in the sub-Saharan African region. And she has previously worked as a site engineer and Vive Construction and Building Enterprises. And prior to that, she has also been involved with the World Student Advisors, ISA Kenya, Member Committee Vice President and the Business Campus, and VYB Student Magazine as well, and her university. Her hard work and dedication, self-motivation as a young graduate has helped her to succeed in her career so far. And she believes in the massive youth potential, and she continuously inspires, motivates, and enlightens young graduates in providing career advisory, staffing, and recruitment solutions, including career development coaching and LinkedIn profile optimization and CV restructuring. Echenge is a young impact, and change maker herself in Kenya, and she will talk to us about. She's a graduate of civil engineering and structural engineering, but also working in impactful youth development areas which is usually like from engineering shifting to a different kind of environment, because that's her passion to bring impact in the young people as well. So she will be talking to us today. How can young people prepare themselves for the demand of the 21st century workplace and to today's labor market demand, as well as to the future of work? And how can youth themselves navigate and create the opportunity to enhance their employability as well as their job readiness skills in upscaling to entering the labor force? Thank you so much, Echenge, for joining us today from Nairobi, Kenya. And we're so excited to have you all. And I will give the floor to Audrey.
Well, hello, everyone. I know that we have an exciting panel ahead of us today. I can't wait to share, my journey and my organization, College to Congress, with you. I know that we have a very international audience joining us, and we have a very international audience that will be viewing this after it's live as well. And so I do want to say that I know that our work in particular might not be immediately accessible or available to you, but you can duplicate this in your own countries. You can find programs just like mine nearby. So while I may be talking about the US today, I do want to share that there are tons of exchange programs that allow students to participate in programs like this. And I'm happy to be helpful in answering any of those questions to make sure that this is useful for you. Next slide, please. So excuse me, I want to share a little bit about what is College to Congress. I started College to Congress in 2016 as a nonprofit that, even though we're in the political space, we're totally non-political. And I really started this just based on my own experience of how hard it is to get a career in America in politics. As you've likely seen in the movies or in TV shows, you have to have a lot of money or power or influence to go work in the halls of Congress. And I didn't believe that was right, and that's not how our country was founded, and that's not how it's meant to work. And so I created College to Congress to help our country operate the way it was intended, to be ran and led by the American people, by the everyday American. And so that's our vision. We're trying to create a democracy that is truly reflective of the people here in America. We do that by recruiting low-income students, underserved students, diverse students from all across the nation, providing them with training and education, a mentor, and then money so they can afford to move to Washington, D.C. and work in the halls of Congress. By doing this, we believe we'll see better laws written in Congress, not just laws that help people who are already connected and have influence, but those who need it the most. those who are suffering from the coronavirus pandemic, disproportionately those who have to work so much harder for so much less. So that's what we're doing. Next slide, please. And so how are we doing that? We're doing that through our program, College to Congress University, or as we call it, C2CU. This is free. You could even, even as international students, you can go get a free education from C2CU. You just go to College to Congress, and that's TO2, Congress, university.org, and you can sign up. You take it at your own rate. It has an entire online curriculum. It connects you with a mentor, and then you can gain access to internship openings and information on that. For our students who do go through the entire program and graduate, if they get an internship, they will be able to apply for something that we have called the Intern Opportunity Fund. These are scholarships that we have created that help fill the gap. And so what do I mean when I say fill the gap? Even internships that are paid, often they're not paid a lot. I'm not telling you something you don't know. You see this firsthand. So maybe your internship gives you $500 a month, but your bills are really $1,000 a month. So we're going to fill that gap between the $500 you get and the $1,000 you need by giving out that scholarship. So that's what the Intern Opportunity Fund is. Who is it for? As I mentioned, we're trying to create more diversity within Congress. We are specifically recruiting low-income students, students from rural backgrounds, students who are people of color or women. That's where our focus is. That's what we're trying to help. Next slide, please. So a couple resources that we have available to you, as I mentioned, collegetocongress.org, or you can do the free training at c2cuniversity.org. We also have a monthly newsletter that goes out that is specifically designed for students. And even if you're not interested in Congress in itself, we also have opportunities on campaigns or in state politics. So I'd really encourage you to take a screenshot of this page and make sure to sign up for all the resources we have available. And if there are any questions, I think we have time at the end to take those, right, Sarah? So happy to take those. Also be in the chat box if you want to shoot me a question there in the chat box to be helpful. So thanks for tuning in today. That's what I had for you guys, and looking forward to getting to know you.
Great. Thank you so much, Audrey. Yes, we will have a Q&A. I'm sure so many people would be interested to also learn. We have young graduates around the US that might be joining us as well, that they can share the information for many young graduates who are interested in Congress or politics and internships as well. Thank you, Audrey. I will give the floor to Seleshi for his presentation. Thank you. Seleshi? You're mute. Unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now? Is it good?
Yes, we can, yes.
All right, thank you so much. I just want to say thank you, Sara and Florence, to give me this golden opportunity. It's a pleasure to see you all here on this special occasion. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Safe Light, and then I'm going to share based on the question that I'm given by the hostess. So yeah, Safe Light, it's a NGOs, non-profit, but it's youth organization. We want to develop, we want to inspire youth, we want to empower youth, and we want to transform the youth and the community. Especially, we want to transform their mind, and we want to facilitate the next generation by doing different activities. So we have different volunteerism service, we have a motivational speech occasions or events, we also have different mentorship program. And also we have a youth development trainings that is given for different organizations, and also we have entrepreneurship skill training, and we coach whoever has an idea, and we facilitate for an opportunity for them. So yeah, next slide, please. All right. So the major issues we observe from our country and across Africa is the three major problems. So it's an option. I mean, there are 10,000 reasons to complain and 10,000 reasons to say this is not going to work for me, or this is not the right place for me to be effective. But at the same time, problems are 50% of the solution. So we just want to focus on the solution. Whoever sees some problem should focus on the solution, not on the problem. So we observe the three major problems in our continent and as well as in our country. The three H, we call them the three H. So the head, the heart, and the hand. We believe that anyone who is not transformed should transform these major areas. The head should be filled with problem-solving knowledge. The head should be filled with not with ton of information, but problem-solving knowledge and wisdom. And the heart should be transformed with character and leadership, and as well as the hand should be transformed with different skill set and entrepreneur and innovative skills and methodology. So those three major areas are the way we approach right now through Save Light, and we have inspired so many young people through this methodology. Next slide. So yes, in order to inspire, in order to empower and transform the young generation, and the young generation should focus on some sort of knowledge that can transform themselves and as well as their nation. It is like easy to say something negative for your country or for your family or for your society, but it takes courage and leadership, to equip yourself and transform yourself with different knowledge and innovative ideas. That's what we call the head part. And next step. So yeah, the second is, yes, for example, if you take my experience, the first public lecture I did was amazing. I mean, like, I have prepared so many ideas. I've prepared whatever it takes me to present the presentation, and I didn't even have projector or LCD screen. It was like full of problems, full of complaints, full of issues that I can give up. But I took the courage and did the first public lecture, and it was just funny. Like 50 young people came to my public lecture. This was in 2018, 2 years ago. Now, next slide, please. Now, from 50 young people, now it come to 10,000 young people. We have reached so many universities. We have reached so many different organizations, young people, volunteerism groups. So, just like a simple logic. You can choose the negative way, or you can choose the positive way. The positive way is encouraging yourself to bring some solution for your society. That's what we believe. Next. Yeah, so of course, within the heart, we want to focus on the character, leadership, value system, and the mindset that the nation has or the society has. So we do different activities. You can go and volunteer groups. For example, we go to some senior care center. We donate blood donation. We donate some clothes for the needy kids. So there are so many reasons that you can go and you can stand from where you are and you can give something back to your community. So within the heart, we want to focus on the character. It's not only about the knowledge, but you have to also focus on the heart, the character, the leadership. You have to be servant leader. I mean, like, if you want to change the system, you have to first master the system, and be servant leader for your nation and your community, then everything can be easy. Next slide. Yes, yes. About the hand, yes, we give different entrepreneurship skill training. For example, we have different young people who has got the chance to learn different entrepreneurship trainings. For example, we have participated in Young Africa Entrepreneurship Challenge, and we became one of the top 7 youth group who brought some innovative idea for the nation. So the problem is the way of your success. So you can do something and you can make money through that problem. That's what we believe. And we recommend the young people who are here and following this event, yes, be VIP. Of course, VIP is very important person. Yes, you are very important person, but volunteer with passion. I mean, like you can sit the whole day at your home, and yes, you can keep complaining that you don't have a job to do, but you can go to some place and volunteer with passion. When you have a passion, the word passion means it came from Latin word passion. It means to suffer. When you have a passion, you have the guts, you have the heart, you have the courage, the leadership to suffer for something very important. So I want to recommend the young people to volunteer and create their own opportunity. And internship, I mean like internship, I've been an intern for different organizations back then. So that's a key point to network with potential people. You know, when you go to and give some internship, you can be networked with a potential, you know, investors, potential business people, potential, you know, someone is there out there for you. So you have to just go and give your time. And professionalism for development. I mean, professionalism, it's not about only just talking or doing something. It's just like adding some value to your skill, so that you can be you can present or you can appear before the people professionally. And also we recommend the young people to follow the 3E. What is your element? I mean, the purpose within you is the guidance to your success. That's the key element. So you have to find for your element within the heart. What is the reason that you are created on this planet? What is that? That's the purpose you are living for and dying for. And the second one is, don't waste your energy. I mean, it's a precious gift that is given to you. I mean, if you focus on the negative things, then your energy will be drained. But when you go to some volunteer group, when you give something back to the community, it will flourish, it will boost up. So just keep your energy. And let me tell you, your environment is your incubation. I mean, when you go to some bad in places, then your vision will be, you know, going bad. So the 3 key is are the recommendation that I have for you guys. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Sari, for the time.
Thank you so much,
I hope if you guys have a question, yes, if you guys have a question, I hope you have a time for that. And I'm gonna give the floor for Chenge or Elizabeth. She's gonna speak something important for you guys. Thank you so much.
Oh, great, thank you. Thank you so much.
Hi.
Go, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I have had the day from heaven and above, yeah? So I didn't have power most of today. I was running across trying to get work done, but I'm so happy that I have this incredible opportunity to talk to you this evening. Thank you so much for considering me for this. When I love to speak to young people, especially when I was at the university, I drove a lot of youth initiatives because I honestly believe that investing in our own talent and in our own potential is what is going to make the difference today in what Africa is, in what your country is. Careers are constantly evolving. So what I was 5 years ago, what my dreams were, what my ambitions are constantly changing. It's not a perfect definition, but I'm really excited to have some conversation with you today that hopefully will help you as a young person to understand what is happening in our society, what is happening in our reality, and how you can position yourself. Next slide. All right. So I wanted to put it in context, and I wanted to bring the reality of all what we're all going through. And when we're discussing youth employment and youth innovation and youth opportunities, we have to put it in the context of what has happened. We're all experiencing the global pandemic, the coronavirus. Obviously, we're easing it, but what I'm trying to say is this. This is not the first time that the world has been in crisis. This is not the first global crisis that we're facing as a world. In 2000, we had the dot-com bubble, and a lot of companies did fall by the wayside. A lot of businesses did not know their way forward. In 2001, we had the 9/11 Trade Center terrorist attack, which also, a lot of this I did know as a child, and I had in the background, not really understanding what the impact to the society and to our capital was. But I could see between the year 2000 to 2003, my parents did struggle quite a bit to find housing, did struggle quite a bit to have food on the table. It wasn't as good as it was years before that. In 2003 was the first time we had a global pandemic that actually affected the aviation industry, inherently affecting the transport industry. And then in 2008, we had a global financial crisis. A lot of you will remember this is the time that President Obama was coming into power, and he was coming in to help America go through the global financial crisis. So a lot of buying of homes was quite difficult for young people. And this affected us. What affects America tends to affect the whole entire world. In 2010, I don't know how many of you will remember, but there was the huge Arab Spring, which meant that we didn't have access to oil. That affected our economies. Transport was a lot more expensive. Travel was a lot more expensive. Access to medication was a lot more expensive. 2014, we had the first Ebola pandemic, which mostly affected the Congo, Sierra Leone, but we finally understood how a viral disease could have such an impact on our society. 2016, the Zika virus. All I'm trying to say is that the coronavirus situation is not unique, but it is the reality of the season we're living in as young people. And we have to recognize, next slide, please. We have to recognize that the coronavirus is a very, very unique, it's very challenging because we can't actually predict it. If you're watching the news, like I'm watching the news, you're seeing that China has gone through a first wave and now they're going through a second wave. Hong Kong went through a first wave, a second wave, and now they're going through a third wave. If you're paying attention to New Zealand only went through a short first wave and the whole entire crisis stopped. So the coronavirus has created a global pandemic, which means our businesses are not stable. We don't know how to trade in a situation where we cannot predict the future. So as young people, the opportunities you desire are becoming smaller and smaller as businesses prepare themselves to be resilient and they hold on to their finances. Now, this is obviously going to be to a completely different degree, depending on which country you're in. So if you're in Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, Washington, United States, your country has aggressively borrowed. Your country has aggressively borrowed to cushion the healthcare system, to ensure that we have payment and jobs, and we're able to have salaries, and we're able to have income to some degree, we're able to live some sort of life. In my country, Kenya, our government has allowed us to, our taxes have been reduced. So we're now only paying about a 14% tax from the 16% tax we're having. As a young person, you have to realize that during post, our reality is once we are past this coronavirus, it will be our responsibility to pay that debt back. So in terms of acquiring housing, in terms of even the amount of salary that you're going to be on, it's going to be greatly affected. And then understanding that the coronavirus has impacted so many different industries. I'm going to go into a discussion on that a little bit later. But what I'm trying to do is to begin to help you understand the global economy looks completely different over the next year, over the next 5 years, over the next 10 years. So as you're positioning to go into the job market as a young person, you have to realize the way companies were hiring is not going to be the same. The way we were finding opportunities is not going to look the same. In terms of the skills that are going to be needed, it's not going to look like the same. And I think we are all starting to feel that. True or false? Yeah? All right, next slide, please. So now, how do we begin to understand the unemployment challenge and our reality? Because of the gig economy, and when I say that, that is your Uber driver, that is your Upwork note taker, transcription jobs, we as people are now underemployed, and we are aggressively underemployed. When I say underemployed, what I mean is the dignity of work in terms of the quality of work and what you're actually able to access has completely changed. So if you're going to look at how the world is structured, I know I'm giving you a lot of problems at the moment. It's not hopeless. I promise I'm going to tell you how we're going to fix all of this. Don't panic, yeah? So we also have low employment, yeah? All across the continent. We're not having as many. In Kenya, for example, which is my reality, according to the daily newspaper this morning, 1.72 million young people have lost their jobs because of the coronavirus, all right? And then in where I'm based, we have a lot more service industries, and we have a lot more investment in service and very few manufacturing. In countries where the global economy is driven by agriculture, we are not having the type of yields because we've not actually been able to go out and farm. And then we have very inadequate investments by government into new technology and what we're doing. Next slide, please. The reason I'm talking to you about this is I want you to begin to understand that there are some opportunities that will be difficult for you to access, but there's some new opportunities that you as a young person can begin to position and will have access to. It's to understand the reality of the global economy and not to get frustrated by the job application process, but to understand as what are my unique skill sets and what can I do to better position myself when it comes to finding my next job. So if we're going to look at 10 different industries, and I'm going to do this really quickly. The hospitality industry, I think obviously has been greatly affected. We're not able to travel as much, but also we're now having virtual travel. Airbnb last week did register on the stock exchange, which means they've been able to survive the coronavirus. And how are they able to do that? By pivoting their product and redesigning how they work as a company. So they still remain profitable, but they're offering live experiences. They're offering conversations. They're allowing moms in Mexico to talk about the history of their food and why they like to cook that way, right? So the way our traditional jobs look like have completely changed. The banking industry, I know thousands and hundreds of thousands of people who've lost their jobs. Where we had tellers, we now have automation in the banking sector. So that has removed a lot of people from the workforce, but also now we're having a lot more new skill coming into the workforce. Education, I think even how we're consuming knowledge, the fact that I'm talking to you and it's 11 or 12 o'clock in Washington, it's about 8 o'clock in Kenya, the way we're consuming knowledge, the way we're experiencing learning has completely changed, right? Real estate has completely changed. Management consulting has completely changed. Construction is going to change. Now, a lot of you can say, oh, this is not happening in my country. But because of how expedited the coronavirus has made us to move into a digital economy, we're actually going to see an aggressive change. Next slide, please. All right, there's just one more thing I wanted to share, and that is what I'm calling the Internet Minute in the year 2020. In an Internet Minute today, and what do I mean by that? 1 minute, in the next 1 minute right now, we start a 60-second clock count right now. There are 400,000 views and hours of video on Netflix that are currently being streamed live right now. There are 500 hours of video that are being produced on YouTube. There are 42 million messages that are going out on WhatsApp. There are 6,500 packages that are being shipped out by Amazon. There are 208,333 participants at any 1 minute on the internet on Zoom. As a young person, it's for you to now begin to understand where is the new industry? Where are the new opportunities? What can I do to actually qualify for this new industry? Now, yes, a lot of it is quite digital. And that means for you, it's reskilling. I work in construction. I used to work in construction, forgive me. I need to remember where I am. If I was to go back into the construction space and I wanted to be uniquely qualified, I would go and understand building information modeling. What does that mean? I'm going to now learn new technology that allows me to perform faster at my job. That technology allows for fewer people on site. So we're going to see fewer human beings being required, but more uptake of technology. As a young person, that is where I would start to ask you, and that is how you're going to become better at your next role and how you're going to find your next job. The idea is to begin to invest in yourself. YouTube University is fantastic. Google University is fantastic. It doesn't mean that you need to go back and get a new degree and to learn new skills, but you can simply, by understanding, go on Skillshare.com, go on edX.com, go on Coursera.com, learn a new skill. That is the reality of where we're living in. Our world is rapidly and radically changing. How we do business is completely changing. The fact that I'm talking to you right now, and the fact that you can actually, I don't have to fly to Ethiopia and you trust me in terms of knowledge and experience. Our world has completely changed. So as a young person, I'm not going back to school. I'm marching forward. I'm updating myself. I'm getting more digital. I'm getting more computer-based. And yeah, thank you so much. I hope I didn't go over the time.
No, you did not. Thank you so much, Chenge. We really appreciate that. You've touched so many points as well. Like, we have become a global village. We should think, globally in terms of what's coming, what's happening around us, so that we can also prepare ourselves not only for jobs, but also for the knowledge and also skills, what's needed for employers, how we can build ourselves, how we can upskill ourselves. Thank you so very much. I would give the floor for our audience to ask questions first. I think there is one question that actually came for Audrey from Magella. The average age of a member of the Congress in the US is 62 years of age, and among the highest of the world. While it is understood you are helping young people access democratic process to learn from and contribute to it, the median age needs to be lower than it is. And are you able to create pathways into public service to begin to shift this paradigm? Thank you for the presentation in word. Magella, then Derborth.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's a great question. Part of what we are doing is already changing that existing statistic. So there's a couple of factors that go into why the average age of a member of Congress is so old. First, you have to understand it's really only old on one side. For the Republicans in Congress, their average age is significantly younger. And that's because they've had a massive capital infusion of donors across the country getting together to raise money for younger people to run. It's very expensive to run a political campaign in the United States. To be elected to the House of Representatives, it's usually about $2 million. The Senate is wild, anywhere from 10 to 30 something million. And so the reason why people are so much older usually is you have to have a network. You often have to have your own net worth. And, there is experience that goes along with age when you're making the kind of decisions that our Congress does, like whether you're going to go to war or not, the tax code, very complicated issues that they're addressing. So that speaks a little bit to why it exists now, how one party is going about changing it. Did someone try to say something? And then how do we play a role in that? Well, many members of Congress were also interns themselves. It's like any other industry that once you become an industry expert, you're able to really, pursue that the rest of your career. Former House Speaker Paul Ryan started as a congressional intern. And so we're helping young people start as interns, then become congressional staffers and move forward. I definitely foresee a day when College to Congress has our own political PAC, when we're helping our former interns now run for office. I think that will happen. I think something exciting about Gen Z is they are, unlike millennials, they are very focused on having a career that they are passionate about, and not just one that brings in money. And so I think we will start seeing, you know, Gen Zers and late millennials running for office and not being deterred by.
But how can I navigate and then start as a young person who don't have the connections, who don't have the skills I believe the market is looking, or who don't have the right resources at this moment? So where do I start?
Okay, thank you, Sari. I mean, I always say this, start with what you love. I mean, sometimes we don't inventory our service. You know, for organization, there's a yearly inventory. So, but we don't do inventory for our service. I mean, like, we have to see through our service so that we know what we love, we know what we want to do, we know the gap in our community. We can figure out different solutions out of this, you know, process. I mean, like, we have to believe in our service. That's the very foundational thing. Then we have to know our service. I mean, the more I know myself, the more I know where I supposed to go. So it's just like a process, and we have to trust the process. There's nothing came true by overnight, you know. So we have to just trust the process and see the little opportunity. I mean, like, sometimes as a young people, for example, in my country, we are so, you know, undermining the little opportunities around us. So we just want to have a big opportunities, but that's not the way we can achieve our dream. But when you give attention, when you give value for little opportunities around you, it can be in your house, it can be in your organization, it can be in your village. I don't know, wherever you are living, just look for the little tiny opportunity. That's the seed. When you start, when you begin from that, you can ask people, you can learn from people to scale up your skill, to learn more, to be open up for the global, you know, information, so that you know, the little opportunity can lead you to the bigger opportunity. And also, even this opportunity, can you imagine, this is an opportunity, but I only see like 20 people online, but most of them are online on social media. I mean, like, I'm not against social media, I'm a social media person, but you can tell, this is an opportunity. You can network yourself here with somebody who can give you amazing opportunity. So we don't have to, you know, undermine, or you know, we don't have to degrade the opportunities around that. That's the starting point. Then the second point is, yes, it can be some small idea, but what can you produce out of that? That should be quantified. It shouldn't be like some fantasy idea. It should be down to the earth. It should address at least one situation in the society. Then you can grab attention around your people, or in between the society, so that you can bring something else. So just keep sitting. I mean, like, keep doing what you really love to do. Then it can lead you by itself. That's what I say.
Okay, I'm going to respond. There is absolutely no business that is going to give you money for free. So you have to begin to look at yourself as a solution. What do I do? Why does this business need my help? You see, a lot of the time we're always going in, hey, can I get a job? Can I get a job? Can I get a job? But how come, why don't you come in and tell me, hi, I can help with your social media marketing. Google has become very aggressive and they're asking and they're investing in businesses to move online. With the coronavirus, a lot more trade is happening online. When I was talking to you about the Internet Minute, I forgot to mention that in one Internet Minute, there is $288 million that are made every single minute. We're going to start seeing a lot of businesses moving online. As a young person, don't go into a business asking, hey, can I get a job? Please help me out. What do you bring? The job that I currently have, I noticed that they were having an event online. I had been unemployed at that point for about 4 months. I walked into their office and I said, hey, can I volunteer my time and help you with your event? I knew that I wanted a job at the company, but I knew they had an immediate need. Once I was able to show them and demonstrate my value, I was then being able to convert that into a job. I was okay with working for free for a couple of weeks though. And then I was able to get a job into the business. Position value. As a young person, what you have is energy. Give your energy. Be okay with learning. What you did at the university is not necessarily what you will do in life, but you will find so much joy in teaching yourself and contributing to society. Understand what is the bigger vision of what it is that you desire to do, and then reach out to different businesses. If you're consistent in your effort and you're consistent in what you desire to do, it all works out to some, like now I'm learning, it actually all just works out and you end up in the right place for you.
Yes, great. Thank you so much. Position value. Bring your value. This is what I can do to help the business, is the attitude we want to see also in terms of young people, instead of like, you help me find a job. That's great. Thank you so much. There is a kind of comment from Mahlit. She's saying, thank you, Achenge, Celestia, and Adri. You are stellar young people. Proud of you all, really. And Sara, I'm just curious if, as many young people who are seeking employment or looking to create something themselves, are attending this or will have access to this discussion, maybe they don't have access to such webinars. Completely agree. And that's a wonderful comment, Mahali. Thank you so much. We have tried to advertise it on social media. We've shared it with so many links that we know young people belong to. And I'm sure they will be able to see it maybe afterwards, and then they will watch it. But we would like them to be part of the conversation, to ask their questions also from their heart. And we try our best to really involve and engage young people. But at the same time, yes, there are some people who may not have access to internet, or may not have even connectivity to internet. So I think for those people, maybe Achenge, you were mentioning last time when we were talking about like your family member having that similar kind of a situation where she didn't have the access you had, or the opportunities and networks that you've created for yourself. Can you say something to that point, maybe, if you don't mind? Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. When it comes to Africa, the reality is we don't have equal resources. A lot of us who are on this call are some of the privileged few, and you have to recognize that we're quite wealthy for you to be able to be on a call for an hour. Internet in Kenya is, pardon my French, freaking expensive. A minute costs about the equivalent of an hour would cost me $5. It's really expensive. And you have to put that in context, in that an average young person between the age of 25 and 35 in Kenya only makes about they make $10 a day. So it is a really expensive thing. So the story that Sara is talking about is, I was visiting my uncle. He lives in Kibera, which is one of the largest slums in Africa. And I realized his kids have not been going to school because they don't have access to internet learning, and they don't have access to opportunities like those. And if he's looking for a job, he can't just pick up a phone and look at Indeed.com or look at Glassdoor and find a job. So the reality for us who have this privilege, there is still a lot of opportunity for us. And there's still, you see, whenever there is a need, there is an opportunity for a business. So we can become entrepreneurial as young people, because you even know how to set up a Zoom. You can go back to the poorer schools, in the city council schools, and set up opportunities and conversations for them like this, and turn that into a business if you find that, hey, this is the only skill that you can actually have. When it comes to people who don't have the ability to network like us, do it old school. Walk into offices. You never know. Before I knew this, I actually carried my envelope and I walked door to door. I asked questions. I asked for meetings. I found out who was in the company. I would set up conversations. I think when you're determined to succeed, you will find a way. It is a reality that we don't have access to all the resources. For us who are privileged, it's an incredible opportunity. And there are companies that are willing to invest if you have the right idea to help other people to have access to the resources that you do easily have access to.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Right idea, but also right attitude. I think a lot of companies also hire not for the right skills and right degrees, but the right attitude, the willingness to learn, that openness to learning and being flexible, adaptable to new normal is also one thing that a lot of employers are looking as well. I think I have Tafarra raising his hand, so I'll give the floor to him. Thank you for joining us, Tafarra.
Of course. How are you guys? To the US, good afternoon, Africa, Ethiopia. Good evening. It's a very good opportunity bringing all those people together. My name is Tafarra. I'm from Washington, D.C., and I'm in Ethiopia right now, working with children and youth. This is very interesting discussion. We are talking about the same age that lives globally, but different opportunities. For example, in the United States, as Audrey mentioned earlier, there's an opportunity for age groups that are from high school and college and also universities. And even before getting into college, there are opportunities that the mentorship in the bank from people from bank and people from different areas make the youth more powerful to be a good citizen. And there's a lot of opportunities, as Audrey mentioned, that there are youth really involved with the things that really care. For example, college to Congress, there's an opportunity, and also the help too. But when we come to Africa, there's a lot of lack of opportunities, particularly the youth are not getting the things they really like. We appreciate SALS here in Ethiopia and the one mentioned in Nairobi. But I want to emphasize on 5 points because we are talking about unemployment, why the youth are not unemployment and how we can make them innovative. But when you see there are barriers to use work opportunities, we heard from both presenters, 3 of them, and everything is interesting because it's because of the area they are located in, the things they do. The one is the youth population in Africa right now is huge, and the youth population is the one who can lead the country in the future and do an impact on the political and social and economic. But there's a lot of youth, so that number exceeds not to get the exact the work experience and the opportunities. The second one is education. When we say education, particularly in Africa, the skill and work experience, most of them are graduates from maybe college or universities, but there is nothing that is in for them to equip them for the work they are gonna invest their time and energy. So the skills and the work experience in America, there is 3 things they do. There's a help for them in resume writing and how to be interviewed, and also there's a social networking to come together and share and how to talk and things like that. But when it comes to Africa, they call it, I think it is a CV, curriculum vitae, and that has the name, the age, and everything. It's completely different what we see in the Western countries and what we see here in Africa. It needs more improvement that will take the skills. In America, maybe 1 one student or college graduate got 7 resumes because maybe he's in a sales associate, so that is a transfer of knowledge to do customer service and things like that. So there's a lot of skill developing activities. I know what Sara is doing. Here we made in the United States too. We've been in New Jersey University, sharing our experience. So the skills, what the work experience that they have. I remember one time a company came from Canada with the prime minister here in Ethiopia, and that group of people who came was the prime minister was asking that we have a technology in a company that can come and work here in Ethiopia. Hey, the youth, do you guys have the stake? Then do you guys have the knowledge? Do you guys have the skill? So, but they were talking about different stuff that doesn't relate with anything with what that person brought to them. So this skill and work experience in Africa need to be worked. And the other one, a skills mismatch. There are our youth. They study engineering, but the work opportunity may be in business or marketing and things like that. They spending 6 years in school working on engineering, and then coming back to a different one. They don't have any idea, and also there is no hands-on in America or in Europe. The students spend their time maybe in the laboratory on hands-on, like what Audrey is doing. That the college students in being in a Congress, they also learn many things. There is no hands-on for African communities, especially for this. And the other one, experience is like the mismatch experience as key barrier to use. And the fourth one is lack of social capital. As I told you, in America, we do have in Washington, D.C. or anywhere in New York, as Audrey can add on, there is a social networking. So people come and even the bars and the restaurants do, they have their own time, like the first after work, there's a happy hours that people come together and share and discuss, and also information is there. But here, lack of social capital, social networking, and coming together and talking with a different people is not in here in Africa. But this should be workable. And the other one is urban-rural areas relationship. Mostly the work is in urban areas, but mostly the rural areas are not participating. There's a lot of gaps even among the youth. So this is a very good opportunity, bringing all of us together in one, since we are talking about the youth, but this one needs to be worked in here. And also, if we are able, it is good to share use to use relationship or use to use knowledge-based experience sharing is very important. What Sals or Celeste is doing in here is a very good job. We even since I was here, we are working with youth synergy. The youth need to come together. The youth need to come and share, and the voice need to be heard. So opportunities need to be there, and also even though the youth are ready to work. So thank you so much, and then I'm very happy again being with you guys, and we're here to help and then do more. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Tafarat, for the comment and for the additional input you put. Yes, indeed, there are several factors. Population is an issue, quality of education is an issue, and there are several different factors that cause that. So that's why, the youth has to be, part of the solution, where there are things that we can control that we need to focus on that first. And then the discussions we previously had also are like focusing on like at macro level, what can government do in making sure that we have the right ground, and also what can employers do also, because it's a multi-sectoral intervention is the key, and it has to be, there is no one fits all kind of solution. We have to kind of have different involvement to really bring solutions to this challenge. Thank you so much for adding that. There are a couple of comments that came, and There is one from Lul. I wanted Audrey one question. What do you think is the most pressing problem that the US is facing and the world, other than the pandemic? Is it climate change? It is, you know, politics, extremism, science denial. Which one keeps you awake at night? I know there are, you know, we will be here the whole day talking about like some of the challenges, pressing problems that the US has. So maybe you can point it out, what is keeping you at night, you know, and then there is also a thank you from Abigail. Thank you, Sal. So good to see you here. Audrey, Sarah, Chenge, and I have learned a lot from you all, and I have been really encouraged in this amazing platform. Sorry, I have to go, and goodbye. Thank you, Abigail, if you left, and we appreciate for your feedback. So Audrey, you can go ahead, and what's keeping us at night?
I think it's a really interesting question, and I think, you know, ask 1,000 different Americans this question and get 1,000 different answers. For me, I'd have to say it's just how partisan politics have become, because then every other issue clumps into that. The fact that depending on what news source you go to, I know exactly what headlines you've read and what your argument's going to be. That's a problem. The fact that, you know, Republicans or Democrats on both sides, if you try to use that news source, immediately quit listening to you because of that, that's a problem. So our nation has really become so polarized and so extreme in the two different camps, the R and the blue camp, that it leaks into everything. I saw someone just say a mask is a problem. I see this in America media. I don't understand. Again, this goes back to how polarized everything is. If one side pushes for climate change or to, you know, protect against COVID or to regulate election law spending, the other side automatically is against it. So that's why I say the big issue is partisan politics, because it bleeds into absolutely every other issue or health concern that we end up having. I do think it's coming to an end. If you look back at America's history, what often pushes us the most forward is when the pendulum swings too far to one side or the other. And so the last 10, 12 years, we've had some pretty turmoil political years. And you can see that pendulum starting to shift and the American people starting to demand more institutionalist, more moderate thinking leaders. And that to me is a good thing, because that's where compromise is going to happen. And that's whenever you get lawmaking that actually lasts and isn't just thrown out by the next team that comes in. Sarah, I think you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Audrey. Thank you so much for that. And Florence had a question. So I think, are you there, Florence?
Yes. So yeah, a lot of you have spoken about taking the first steps, but we all have also been told, you know, we see all of the issues that are facing us. I think my question is a mix between a personal and a professional question. When you get discouraged, either in your position or when you're a youth who cannot see the opportunities, how do you get over this discouragement?
I'm happy to take that first, just because I'm sorry, I have to leave right at 1:15.
Sure.
So I'll kind of wrap this up quickly. We all face setbacks. I mean, just the other panelists here, they're such lively, enthusiastic people, which means you're constantly reaching for the stars. You're constantly pushing the limits, which means we're going to fail sometimes. And when that happens, at least for me, it's good to like take it in, realize what happened, analyze maybe what you could have done better, what went wrong, or realize that it was totally out of your hands, and then just keep moving forward. You know, we are working with thousands of students all across the country, and so I get to see how different personalities process information and process setbacks. And the people who I've seen have been the most successful are those who learn from the mistake, but don't let it ruin what you're doing. Don't let it ruin your entire day. Don't let it, you know, make you think differently about yourself and make you start second guessing anything. The best thing to do is just keep steaming forward. And so sorry, I do have to sign off, but
thank you so much.
yes, thank you everyone for having me. Please go to c2cuniversity.org, get involved with us, and we'd love to help you out.
Thank you so much, Audrey. We'll stay in touch. I'll talk to you later.
Sounds great. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah. Achenge, you can take.
All right. So I am exhausted. I've been working all the way from December to this year. We're not as profitable as we could have been as a business. I had my own personal ambition. I thought this year I was going to buy a car. This year I was going to get a 3-bedroom house instead of a 2-bedroom house. So it's been a very interesting year, and I can feel it. I feel it sometimes when I'm working, when I start to lose focus. And then one of the things that I'll do sometimes, I'll go on Facebook or I'll go on Instagram, and I'll see everybody's having such a perfect life, and I start to beat myself down, and I'm like, then I have to remember who I am and what I'm doing. So I switch off the social media, I walk away from that, and then I give myself a better conversation. I encourage myself. A lot of people lost their jobs. I'm happy to have a job. I can keep working harder. So for me, it's positive self-talk, and reinforcing a positive energy in myself. When I'm completely wiped out, I'll walk away. In extreme situations, I can tell the story. I will get a plane ticket and go all the way to Nigeria. When it's an extreme situation, I like to travel, I like to move out. But if it's an immediate situation, I'll shut down the computer, I'll shut down the phone, I'll steal a weekend to myself, talk to myself, give myself positive conversation, and then come back. The truth is, we're not having an easy time. Nobody's perfect. We are really struggling to some degree, yeah? So somebody may have a fantastic house, but somebody doesn't have enough food in that house. We're all going through different things. So it's important that you talk to yourself first and don't consume too much of the media, because that is not always the reality of what everybody's experience is. And walking away has been important for my mental health.
Wow, that is amazing. That's, you know, some of the things you were saying, yes, I mean, because I sometimes do like fasting from social media. I call it fasting because I just want to shut it down. And then sometimes that one-on-one conversation with yourself can be a, you know, a step forward to get out of that chaotic mindset as well. Thank you so much for sharing. How about Saz? Slashy.
What makes me staying at the night, or?
Yes, I think Florence asked, you know, when you are discouraged, what keeps you out of that discouragement, or how do you motivate yourself when you don't feel like being motivated at all?
Yeah, especially our life, you know, it's not easy. I mean, like, you have to always get up and motivate people. Sometimes I feel I'm so, you know, sometimes I feel so frustrated because, you know, people thought that I'm always motivated, but there are times that I feel frustrated, and I even had my last cry yesterday. So it's whenever I feel that way, I keep telling myself it's a part of the process. And I get up and see my future. And once Abraham Lincoln said, the best way to see your future is to design it and to create it. The fate is on my hands. So I always encourage myself that it's not about where I am now. It's not about my past. It's not about what people keep telling me. It's not about the circumstance. It's not about the situation in the country. It's not about the resource that I have. It is about my future, what I saw. That's the vision. The vision keep me, you know, motivated and keep me pushing forward. And whenever I feel down, I tell myself, this is a part of the process. Then tomorrow is another day. So do it with courage. I mean, like, for example, whenever I feel down, I always read books, because books are a good way to focus on something in specific. So when you go to social media, there is a feed, right? They're about to feed you something. So you have to take care of your subconscious. The subconscious is the very sensitive area, so I always guard that area. So I keep feeding myself with positive energy. I love traveling. I love designing. I'm a graphics designer, so I love designing. You know, I go out for travel. I go out for hiking. You know, friendship is a good way to vent your, you know, negative emotions. So those of you who wants to follow at least my way, you need to have a good mentor. Mentors are a good, you know, sacred boxes. You can go and cry. You can share them. You can ask for some guidance. You can ask for advices. You can ask for their experience. So whenever you hear from somebody else who is out there ahead of me, then I feel like then if he passes or if she passes that situation or that circumstance, that I believe I can pass that too. So yes, there are different ways that you can keep the momentum. You know, the momentum is a critical thing. I want to add on this. I mean, you might have a vision, you might have a dream, you might have a resource, you might have a time and energy, you might have everything on hand, but unless you don't have the momentum, you cannot make that happen. So just bring that momentum, just do it with courage, do it with motivation. So just be inspired, always be inspired, not with the people who are clapping for you, not with the people who are following you on social media, but the vision. The vision is your guiding principle, it is your Bible. It tells you where you go, it tells you where you have to stay, it tells you what kind of book you have to read, it tells you what kind of fellowship you need to have. So you just need to have that momentum in your life, so that the momentum brings you more energy, more opportunity, more people, the potential, the provision, everything is in that momentum. So you have to bring it down, that momentum, then use it for your own sake. That's what I have to say.
Wow, that is amazing. I'm so glad you asked that question, Florence. It's really important also to really acknowledge it. Sometimes we're too hard on ourselves, right? We want to expect like to be always high on the high level of like motivation or presence. But sometimes if you don't feel like it, acknowledge it, and then, you know, talk to friends, you know, see something that motivates you. Could be read a book like you said, Sas, but also you can also read the Bible or read the Quran, or, you know, go to for a walk and talk to friends that are positive, not the ones that put you down. The friends, that real friends that actually help you, encourage you, and that actually is very helpful, not only in you know, in this environment of COVID, but also I think even past that in your work environment as well. And I really learned so much about it today. I know we're going beyond time, but we will try to close it like, you know, in 5 to 6 minutes. But there's a comment from Mahlet that she said, what lies behind us and what lies ahead of us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. I love that quote. Thank you so much for sharing, Mahlet, this quote. And Rivka said, I can't agree more with you, Chenge. Social media can be stressful, but it's also a good thing to look at the bright side in life. Thank you so much. Is there anybody who has like a burning question that you want to ask, or maybe a comment, and then we will be closing it shortly?
Uh, Sara, I just want to add a little bit on what you have said. I mean, like, when we have the right relationship with ourselves, when we have the right and the good relationship with somebody else next to us, when we have the right and relationship with the nature, and finally when we have the right relationship, intimacy with our God, that's the right dimension. We can create some energy. So I just want the young people here who are now listening this. I want you guys to know that you need to have this energy within. I mean, like, when you have the good energy in your soul, then you can bring some good things for your nation. So I just want people to have good personal relationship with their spiritual being. It can be whatever it is, but they need to have that relationship spiritually, the right relationship. I just want to add this.
Great. Thank you so very much. This conversation can go on, and then, it's really broad. We could tackle it from different angles as well, because it's part of, like, we have the wheel of life is sometimes you sometimes have imbalances in some areas. So it's very important to really be conscious of some of the areas you want to develop as well. And we want the young people to proactively think as well in terms of reshaping the areas that they feel like they need help with, or skill is something that they really want to develop. That's where they need to go to develop it. Or if it's something that is a character or of like a knowledge or a technical aspect that they want to learn, that's where they need to go. So it's knowing what your strength is, knowing what your weaknesses are, and also where you need to develop, who you need to reach out, where, resources at this time with the internet age. You can't say, I don't know where to find information. I don't know where to get, knowledge or learning. So it's out there. So we really encourage young people to proactively seek for the important aspects of how and where, and then where to find the right information and right resources as well. I really wanted to encourage that. If you have something to add, I would want to give you like a minute to add, Achenge and Celestia. Otherwise, I will give the floor to Florence to close.
There are two things that I'd like to say. I hope you don't mind.
Sure.
Do you think we will ever get back to the normal after pandemic? No, this is part of our
there's
normal.
a question, yes, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think we will get back to the normal after this pandemic? No, this is our reality. It is part, remember what I was saying, we are in debt. So for every dollar you make, whatever you are in the world, you owe the government a lot more. So even the nature of jobs that we're going to get, even the type of compensation we're going to be getting is going to be drastically affected. We're going to see more taxation. So it will take us a lot longer to own homes. Yeah. But that does not mean the pandemic did not create new opportunity. This has taught us new ways of doing business. I've seen conversations about, instead of having 5 working days, we're now going to be working 4 days. The nature of the office place has completely changed. You can't interact with people, and that allows for new design. And what might the pandemic bring towards the availability of jobs? There are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of jobs available. The thing is, you have to be the right skilled person for them. Before, I would be looking for a sales manager. Today, I am looking for a virtual business developer. I want that new technology embraced into my company. Mm-hmm. So for you, it's to reskill. Understand there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of jobs advertised every single day across millions of job boards that exist all over the world.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I would also add to that, maybe if I may, that we shouldn't also focus on our local, or our own location to really seek for opportunities. Now with the digital transformation, with the technology and internet, you have to really open up to be working somewhere else, because outsourcing is one of the things that's really happening. And then COVID has really accelerated this opportunity for a lot of employers as well. So I think we should think out of the box in terms of where can I use my skills, and think in terms of globally where you can implement those kind of skills as well and add value to companies. Thank you.
Final remark. As a young people, as a leader, we have to think as a leader. So as a leader, we have to work on a personal branding, especially on social media. Who are you on social media? Are you the one who's just keep posting this rubbish posters, or are you the one who is branded with some specific skill or specific profession? So it's a platform where you can sell yourself. You have to present yourself in a way your profession needs you to be. So I just want you to work on the personal branding. Just post what the kind of post that bring you some opportunity. And for me, this COVID time is a best thing happening in my life because, I start a new business. It flourished in 2 months, just this way. So, I mean, this is why, because I added some value, I added some skill, and I sell myself on social media so that I attract more customer, more client to my business. So just use this time. I mean, like, for example, in Ethiopia, internet is getting cheaper and cheaper these days. So you have to use the opportunity. I mean, like, whenever you are on social media, just add some value, because that post goes all over the place, so people can see you and see what you are doing, so that they can ask you what you are doing and ask you for some business. So just use it for your own sake and opportunity.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Be mindful of your digital footprints, and then make sure that you use it to your advantage. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Achenge. Thank you so much, Sals. I will give the floor now for Florence to close it for us. I truly appreciate that, and I'll get in touch soon with you.
Yes, thank you to our panelists. I heard so many interesting things and also motivating advice from all of you, so I'm really grateful. I wanted to follow up on a few things that were said. We talked, for example, about some youth who might not have easy access to the internet. We will share some resources with you as a follow-up to this event. And one of them is Utiva, which is a Nigerian company which has found a way of helping people learn even without having access to internet. So you can learn a lot of tech skills that are very helpful. It is very geared to African youth, and you can do that offline. And they have scholarships. We might actually have some Utiva member in one of our future panels talk to you about that. So there are many different solutions that are being developed right now to fill this skill gap. So that's very exciting. Also, somebody talked about mentors, Sileshi, and it's a great cue, because in one of our upcoming panels, we're going to invite you to think of and learn about how to find your mentors and how to interact with mentors. So please stay tuned. We'll send you the recording of this video by email, and we will send you some resources, and we will also send you information about upcoming panels. And please take our survey, let us know how you felt, how this was helpful, what else you want us to talk about next time. Thank you very much. Have a good night, a good evening, a good afternoon. Bye.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Bye.
Thank you so much to our
Thank you so
panelists.
much.